Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camille Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show.
Oh yeah,
It's got like a huge dashboard.
they can. No, it looks like it's good. Cool. All right. Well, cheers.
All right, cheers.
All right. Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I am Matt Conrad, and I am here alone because Mike is recovering from surgery. And I swear,
Poor
dry
Mike.
January probably did it to him, I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably,
But
yeah.
so we are here with our first three-peat.
That's
Your
right.
first three-peat guest.
Listen, I'm honored. In fact, I think you'll recall, Matt, every time you invite me, I respond very quickly.
You do.
Yes, absolutely.
No, you know what? Listen, I think it's great. I think it's so, I think we talked a little bit about this the first time we had you on, is I've been listening to you speak for a long time now, probably since you said you've been here 10 years, so probably 10 years. And, at one point, it's one of those things where that's just a guy on like the news, and that's a guy who talks, and it's a name that you hear all the time, and you recognize his voice and all that stuff. And then sure enough, here we are drinking beers for the third time. Have each other on Facebook and all that stuff, and
That's
I
right.
get now I kind of know you on a personal level, which is really kind of cool. So
I think that's the magic about Afternoon Pint, I think, because it's very personable, very authentic.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why you're having a whole lot of success. I mean, you've had some great guests over the last few years.
well, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And your podcast is actually really taking off. The Food Professor, we were talking before we started recording that you just renewed with
Yep.
your sponsor.
Yep.
And you're on 5 years now.
Yep, 5 years.
And going strong and talking about a lot of
Yeah.
great things that I think.
Our game is Harvard, MIT, McKinsey, and so people listen to us more than Harvard, MIT, McKinsey in Canada. That's our game. So
okay.
we're very pleased with results. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's it's so funny because you've been like I kind of feel like you've been doing this. I mean, 5 years seems like a while anyway, and it's funny that you just got the sponsor, so you kind of just do. It's like I think it's been 6 months or something like that, maybe 8 months.
A year and a half, actually.
Is it a year and a half?
Yeah.
Okay, because the last time we sat here and talked, I think it might be coming up to a year actually. So maybe my time's just being
Well,
off.
we've had another sponsor, and that sponsor was replaced by Cattle, our current
okay.
sponsor. We had a 1 year contract, and they just renewed. So we've actually had the sponsor for almost 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So it was cattle. So that's good. So so there we have it. Like it's right now. I mean, we're in January, but
Yes.
this is coming out in February. So
Yeah.
we by the time this airs, we are. Oh, actually, you know what? And I meant to congratulate you because you actually were named in the top 5 for Apple Podcasts as well.
Was I?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I
recently.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's on LinkedIn. I think your producer put it up.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
You were number 4 in for our Apple Podcasts under a particular category. So Apple Podcasts Canada.
Well,
Yeah.
that's under management, so
Yeah.
that's why. So when we actually compare our podcast with others, because yours is much more open, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're out there entertaining people, you want to inform people.
That's right.
We're about connecting with the food industry.
That's
It's
right.
all about food for us, and
That's right.
so we look at that ranking very closely, and we actually reached number 3 this year for the first time. So
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah.
So it looks like year end you ended at number 4, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, now for some reason in December people are bored with their eggnog and they listen to podcasts.
Well, you know what? It's Christmas time, and I think budgets and things like that. Food budgets go out the door.
Oh
and
my
all-
God, what am I gonna do with my turkey?
Exactly. Yeah. It's and we can even talk a little bit about that too. But things go out the door. It's true. But I know that you just came out with the food
Price report.
process. Yeah. Is turkey going
And I think
down?
that's when you invited me back. I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was when we saw that. So that's
Yeah.
a big reason why we want to talk about it. But we have so much stuff that's happened since we put the invite out.
Yeah.
By the time this airs, the tax holiday's gone, and we're going to get to all that stuff.
Trump
But
will be in.
Trump will be in, and all the fun stuff that's going to go along with that.
yeah.
But I don't know about I don't know if it's true or not. But are turkeys going down in price? Because my turkey was cheaper this year.
It was.
I bought 2 turkeys.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, you're a savvy shopper, because a lot of people always, oh my God, Sylvain, things are more expensive, more expensive. I got to say, you're not looking around.
Yeah.
And frankly, what I'm noticing is that people are way smarter when they go out and grocery shop. They leave the home with information. Listen, 10, 15 years ago, most people left their homes to go to a grocery store without really knowing how much they should be paying for carrots.
Fair enough.
For turkey, for...
Internet's probably helped with that, though, right? Just to know, right?
But I think people started to feel the pain at the grocery store. They had
100% that.
They had less money to spend on food because of interest rates, mortgages, and debt. And so people got really savvy about their finances. And so when they went to the grocery store, this is why the Loblaw thing kind of faded away, because all of a sudden people felt, if something's too expensive, walk away.
Yeah.
You have that power. And people start to walk away, which is why you're seeing Sobeys and Loblaws deploying different kind of strategies to cater to a more frugal market. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. I mean, in Ontario, Loblaw just opened up 3 no-name stores. No-name stores are like dollar stores for food.
So would they be better than like the what are they called? The no frills?
It's 10,000 square feet.
Oh, so they're smaller.
Yeah, basically, it's kind of the size of a little bit larger than the size of this brewery.
And just for that, we're actually at Great Roads Brewery, just to let know. And we are drinking a very, very fresh 7-day IPA.
Absolutely,
and it's very good.
I've never actually drank a fresh IPA before.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It is pretty
Thank you, the brewer.
Yeah, cheers there. Cheers over there. So anyway, sorry, I cut you off, but
So, what was I saying?
You were talking about the smaller stores that they're opening.
It's called No Name, and No Name has no. So what? Imagine going to the grocery store with no fridges.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
that's No Name, and it's coming here.
So they don't actually have any frozen foods or anything like that.
They have freezers.
Okay,
but they don't have coolers. They don't have fridges. And they a little fresh, no fresh. So the inventory turnover, all the labor you need.
Right.
Because when you go into a grocery store, people will realize, the inventory in vegetables with fruits, you have to turn like twice a day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's a lot of work.
It's perishable.
A lot of labor.
Yep.
And you have to deal with that. So you can actually operate a 10,000 square feet store with about 8 FTEs, 8 full-time employees.
No way. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So
costs are really low.
Yeah, costs would be really low. And at that
10 years ago, you wouldn't see a store like that in Canada.
No.
But now they have to.
So they would basically have like no produce and like no meats and things like that, or there's things that like last a long time.
Exactly.
Type of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can see that really, and it's the same with Sobeys, the same with Metro.
Yeah.
They're really more careful, and even Costco. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, go to Costco, everything's cheaper." No, not everything is cheaper.
No, that's true.
Many things are cheaper.
Yeah.
It's 4,000 SKUs, 15%. That's their model. But not all 4,000 SKUs are cheaper.
That's right.
And people are starting to realize, I go to the meat counter at Costco.
Right.
Have you noticed?
Okay.
Prices are pretty high.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually have this right in here. So talking about meat, and this is the thing. I was talking about how I noticed like turkeys were cheaper. I don't remember where I bought the turkeys this year, but I bought them and they were really kind of like, I bought smaller turkeys than usual because I always realized we have too much turkey. How big were they? I don't know the weight, but I know I was paying about $22 per turkey.
5 to 7 kilos,
probably something like that. Yeah. So I was like, normally you're paying like $30, 34, whatever. Sometimes it's 40, right? And this was, whole turkey, $22. I think one of them was $20 and one was $22. And we used the $22 turkey for the Christmas dinner. But we bought the $20 turkey because we were like, hey, you know what? Why don't we just have turkey and have it, right? Yeah. And you know what we did is that $20 turkey, and talking about if you want to be frugal, if you want to be smart with your food and save on your groceries, we took that $20 turkey on a Sunday and I roasted it just like I would for any other thing, right? Cooked the turkey up, basted it and all that stuff, made it like it was really good. and cut it up. Obviously, we had turkey for different things. I ground some of it up. I saved whatever. I made turkey soup. Like we ate. It was only turkey for that week because I made so much. In fact, I made so much that I just opened. We had to freeze some of the turkey soup. So and we just had some last week. But we made a ton of turkey soup. Like
you can do a lot of different.
I think I made like 8 liters of turkey soup or something like that. and on top of that, it was. We had like all the different types of turkey between grinding it up because I have a meat grinder, and slicing it up and all that stuff. And we made a bunch of different meals.
That was during the holidays?
That was, we saved one for the holidays, and we had one that was like, it was like the first week of December or something like that. And we just had turkey that week.
Right.
And it was one of those things where we made different meals.
Yeah.
Every day it was something different, a different texture of turkey or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there, and you're looking at it, it's like, you know what? Even if the turkey was $30, if all I ate was turkey that week for the turkey, that means my protein for the whole week was only $30.
Yeah.
And then you just got to buy your veggies, or if you have rice, pasta, whatever you want to mix it in with.
Absolutely.
And just be creative with it, right? And we've been doing that more and more. My wife and I have been just being more creative. Now, some of it is thanks to the smaller people in the city.
Yeah.
We have Gateway, obviously it's known for, but I'm a big fan of Kingswood Market. Kingswood Market, I don't know what's going on there.
Gateway is extending.
Yeah, they're huge now. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's still some lineups outside, but that's why they're expanding, because there's more demand. But what you just described me is the consumer of the 1970s.
Right.
Okay. We're just recreating, we're reliving. Because I remember when I was a kid, I'm 54 years old.
Yeah.
When I remember seeing my mom do everything you just described.
Right.
Okay? And because that's how you did. I mean, because food was expensive in those days, and inflation was at 15%.
Right.
A lot of people were looking for work, and so times were tough.
And you would have been in Quebec, so I mean, honestly, it would have been a tough time in the 70s in Quebec. Actually,
yeah. My family wasn't rich, and so we went to the grocery store. If there wasn't a red tag on a food product, meaning that it was on special, we didn't buy it.
You know what? My it's a sign. Like, I mean, my father-in-law who's passed away now, but and he's old. He was older than you were, but you can see that linger, right? He would go to like the Maxi and stuff like that. He would go to all the different places looking for the deals and things like that. So it's ingrained in him because he lived through, the 60s and 70s of Quebec. And this was back, when they had the Quiet Revolution and things changed a lot in Quebec, right? It was to speak French at your place of work was like no go, right? Like people don't realize like where Bill 101 and all that came from, right? Well,
the book I wrote about Poutine goes back during the Duplessis years.
Yes.
And I actually argue in the book that Poutine was kind of created because of this division between the Anglophones and the Francophones in rural Quebec.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, because the Anglos went to a restaurant where they spoke English, and the French went to the shack.
Yeah.
The fry shack.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it was. And that's where poutine was actually invented.
Get their poutine, get the galvaude. I love galvaude.
Yeah, galvaude, that's right.
It's great. So, yeah.
So there's, and I think, I feel for millennials, I feel for Gen Zs, because they're going through pretty much what, not the boomers, but Xers like I am in the 80s and 70s and 80s, and it's not easy. But they'll come out of it, and they'll be fine, and they'll do well. They'll do better. So I'm not. So a lot of people were. I felt like a couple of years ago, people were panicking.
Yeah.
And I went, if you just make some adjustments, and what you did with turkey is an adjustment.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like I'm fortunate enough that I am someone who doesn't have to worry about where how a roof goes over my head and where my food's going to come from. But that doesn't mean I don't appreciate being efficient, right? Yeah. Also, Mike, who will be listening to this, I've been telling him for a year because he keeps saying like, oh, my waistline's going up, and I keep saying actually mine has been actually going the other way. I've been losing a little bit of weight in 2024 and all that stuff.
And you're hosting the afternoon,
and we're hosting,
pint.
and we're drinking, right? And so he's blaming it on the beer.
I need your recipe. I need your secret.
You know what? I keep telling it to Mike, cut out the snacks. Snacks, like I don't mean like a bag of carrots or something like that, but snacks are expensive.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like empty calories, right? And I mean, I'm not saying they're bad foods. It's fine to have them once in a while. I get a bag of chips here and there and stuff like that. But if I get a bag of chips, I'm eating a bag of chips.
Yeah.
So I just don't buy it, right?
Good strategy.
Right?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Because the snacking industry, if I want to, is going to readjust to, I would say, a new era. I'm not sure people appreciate how big GLP-1 drugs are right now. Mm-hmm. They're huge. Ozempic.
I was going to say, you had something recently about Ozempic.
Last year in 2024, we actually released a study on GLP-1s, and only to realize that there's probably going to be anywhere between 2 to 3 million Canadians on GLP-1s by the end of 2025. This year.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
I mean, and that's supposed to be
I
like
suspect
a
that some people
diabetic drug, right?
Well, it was designed for diabetics, basically type 2.
Yeah.
But they realized you can actually lose weight. So we actually realized that about 30% on GLP-1s are actually on GLP-1s to lose weight.
Yes.
One of them is one of my students, actually, graduate students. And I thought, wow. So we released a study, and we got 2 phone calls from 2 major CPG companies. I won't tell you which one.
That's fine, yeah.
But these are companies and everyone knows.
Yeah.
And they wanted a private session with us.
Oh.
Say, what did you find out about GLP-1s? These companies are nervous because snacking is a big deal for them. Impulse buying, impulse eating is a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And so if you remember, in the fall of 2024, Nestle released Ozempic-friendly food.
Oh, no way.
I
didn't know this. Okay, see, Ozempic, honestly, it wasn't even on my radar until maybe like 6 months ago. And it, it might have been somewhere in the back of my brain because you see the commercials or something like that. But that was kind of like, people started saying like, well, I'm on Ozempic. And like my wife was like, oh, everyone's on Ozempic. And I'm like, what the hell's Ozempic? And then I started doing some reading into it and I was like, oh, okay. Like it's a diabetic drug that the idea is hopefully the type 2 loses weight and therefore can maybe get off medication, blah, 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 blah. But then everyone else was like what every fat is, like when people go on keto or anything like Atkins and things like that. It's like, I'm going to try it. It's not for me, but it works for that person. So I'll try it too kind of thing. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I must say I'm really intrigued by this phenomena because it's going to change. You see, when you talk to, I'll just name a few companies: Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Nestle, Mondelez. When you talk to them, and I talk to them, they say, "Oh, Sylvain, we provide healthy food to people. we provide healthy solutions to Canadians."
Right.
And I'm going, okay, so why are you nervous about GLP-1s then?
Right.
So they're seeing the pharmaceuticals coming in with a solution that it's actually working for a lot of people. Mm. And so if you talk to someone on GLP-1s, they'll tell you, salty, can't do it. Sugar, can't eat it anymore. I just don't crave it. Alcohol, more than one beer, it's a problem.
Really?
They feel ill. Yes.
So that's kind of, I guess, how they kind of get. So that makes me wonder, does it actually help you lose weight or does it help you just find those things that make you gain weight disgusting?
Well, that's kind of, I'm not a medical doctor.
No, I know. That just makes me wonder.
My focus is on how this phenomenon will impact the food industry.
Yeah.
And clearly it is impacting the food industry. So a month ago, Cornell University in the U.S. Released a study showing that demand for food volume, not sales in dollars, volume is down 6% in the U.S.
Wow.
Because of GLP-1s.
No way.
Yes, 6%. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a huge
6%
amount. Yeah.
less food being bought because
That's billions of dollars. Yeah.
billions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like 6% for us in Canada. So food retail in Canada is worth about $160 billion.
Yeah.
So 6% is probably about 10.
Yeah.
9-10 billion.
Wow.
$10 billion of food not being bought because people are on these drugs.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty significant.
It's hard to it's hard to say whether that's a good thing or not if you're relying on these, because
I don't know if it's a good thing or not.
I don't know.
Because a lot of people are arguing, well, it's not natural, and frankly, I've always believed that lead a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's the best thing.
Right.
And don't abuse.
Yep.
Like beer, for example.
Exactly.
Have a beer,
Yep.
once in a while. It's great.
Exactly.
But I would say with GLP-1s, there is some controversy. There is some discussions about whether or not this is a good thing for society in general.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that can kind of happen there when I think about it, right? I mean, I don't get too hung up on like what's natural and what's not. Everything's chemicals.
Yeah.
Everything is chemicals, right? That's the science of things, right? So I'm not too worried about that, because there's lots of man-made things that were great and are perfectly fine, and all that stuff. Like we talked before about how corn's GMO and it's science, but everyone eats it and everyone's like, there's no such thing as organic corn. Sorry, folks.
That's right.
Right? So it's
sorry to break it to you.
It's exactly. Yeah. So it's like things like that. Like I don't get too worried about that stuff.
Yeah.
What I worry a little bit about is that people rely on Ozempic, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I like to drink Pepsi, and but if you're telling me it makes them kind of not crave it, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Ozempic does long term to someone's body, right? Because we don't know, I guess.
You have to take it for the rest of your life.
Well, this is the thing. You have to keep doing it, right?
And it's not cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard it's not cheap. Yeah.
It's not cheap. It's about, my understanding, it can cost you like in the thousands per year. So it's not for everyone.
At that rate, just
pharmacare right now, how it's designed, doesn't include. So with the Liberal NDP alliance,
yes.
They wanted pharmacare. It's not included yet.
Right.
But I would argue.
And we have an election coming, and so they may not get what they want.
No, but any future governments, doesn't matter who it is.
That's right.
I think there is a conversation that would need to be had here. So are we, because I know of 3 or 4 people in my life, their quality of life has vastly improved because of GLP-1s, because they were older, 65, 70.
Yeah.
They were obese.
Yep.
They couldn't sleep well.
Right.
They lost a ton of weight. Now they sleep well, no sleep apnea, all that stuff.
Right.
They they eat well.
Yeah.
They walk. They can do they can actually go up the stairs without taking the elevator. There's lots of, so part of me saying, I don't know, it doesn't feel natural, but a part of me is saying, well, maybe it actually can be helpful as well.
This episode is brought to you by Camille Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camille Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camille can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camille by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camille Najat, Exit Realty Metro.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if it can be used as like a temporary thing. Because, I think the hardest part when people are trying to get healthy, I think the hardest part is the beginning. It's getting started. It's like, someone loses 5 pounds.
Especially this time of year.
Well, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
We're going in like, we're, like I said, this is February. So we're this is being released. So we have already had the Super Bowl.
That's right.
And this is chicken wing season and all this stuff, beer and chicken wing season. Right.
Yeah.
And so it is
funny because my son's girlfriend, she's a manager of a gym in Halifax. And right now she's seeing a ton of people.
That's this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's actually lose a ton of weight.
Yeah.
And she's been manager for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Next month, half the people will disappear.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing is I think what's hard is that someone goes and they lose like 5 to 7 pounds and they're all energized and like, yes. And then Super Bowl happens and they eat chicken wings and have beer and they gain that 5 pounds back in like one day. And all of a sudden,
5 pounds in a day?
I don't know.
Matt.
I don't know. Maybe. Listen, if you eat enough chicken wings,
You're ambitious.
I can eat 5 pounds of chicken wings. But it's like, you know what I mean, though. It's like they have a bad weekend or something like that, and they gain the weight back that they,
of course,
whatever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like, I lost 7 pounds in a month, which is, you know, a reasonable, healthy amount of weight to lose in a month. And then all of a sudden, it's like I took steps back, and now I feel like that month was for nothing. And instead of picking themselves back up again and going, they give up. Yeah. And they stop going to the gym. They think, this is I'm never going to get anywhere kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if like things like Ozempic could help people like
and especially
really bridge
for Nova
through
Scotia.
that.
I mean, Nova Scotia is a unique province in that while it has the highest food insecurity rate, it has probably, I think, the highest obesity rate as well.
I have a theory about that.
What is it?
It's because a lot of people point to America about being like, you know, the fattest country in the world. But do you know what the fattest country in the world is? You might know it because you are the guy who's in this industry.
Well, I'm not a nutritionist.
No, so. I know, but like you're kind of like in the food world. So like, you know, I'm also not a brewer, but I know a lot about beer. Right? But the fattest country in the world, last I checked, was Scotland. And
probably.
Yeah, like so.
The weather. You're going.
The weather. What we eat. Yeah. The East Coast diet is a lot of fish and chips and deep fried blah, blah, blah. And like what? And the weather. And honestly, like we're a more mild province compared to the rest of Canada. So we don't really have like winter sports. No. It rains through pretty much like we're.
Matt, hockey was invented in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, global warming's a thing though. I can't keep a ring.
It was invented in Windsor.
I know, but you know what? I can't like we have
Sidney Crosby. Yeah.
He did it inside, right? and ice times are hard to come by these days. Like it's not like in Quebec, like you know, you would have still like you would have grown up with every neighborhood had a hockey rink.
Yeah.
And when I go back there to Quebec now and I go up there, every neighborhood has a hockey rink. It's still minus 20, minus 30, minus 40 sometimes.
The weather, I mean, I have to say, I love Nova Scotia.
It's mild,
I love, but the winters suck.
They do.
What do you do here? Like there's no, we came back from the cottage in the Laurentians. There's snow.
Yep.
I mean, you're on my Facebook page. You must have seen. I mean, it's beautiful. You can do a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
With ice,
snowshoeing, and all this other
here,
stuff. You can't do anything. So, I mean, we sit around and we're just kind of like, well, it's kind of rainy and gray. It's like, at least if it was snowing out, you could do something in the snow.
I have a solution.
All right. What's your solution?
We need to pay more carbon taxes.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is a great segue because I wanted to talk about carbon tax.
It was on your list.
It's 100% on my list. So carbon tax, let's just go right into it. The topic of 2024, probably 2025.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be an election.
Axe the tax.
Axe the tax.
Yeah.
It's going to be a thing. So carbon tax.
Yeah.
What does it actually do to the prices of food?
We don't know.
I am so happy you said that because you know what? I don't like carbon tax. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't love the fact that I'm probably paying 23 cents more.
Well, intuitively, why don't you like the carbon tax?
Well, so I don't like it because...
Don't you feel better about the environment when you pay a carbon tax?
No. So, I like, listen, I agree. Like, I already made the global warming joke. I know, like, global warming's a thing. I'm not a denier of that. I think we should do things like that. I think we do need to invest. My thing is... we pay about, I think it's Nova Scotia, it's about 24 cents extra per liter, is what the carbon tax is per gas and all that stuff. So I know that must impact everything, shipping and everything. The prices are inflated. It has to be because they factor prices into shipping, food, and all those things. It also directly impacts me because I got to fill up my car and I'd love for it to be 24 cents less.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about it. But my other the reason that I don't like about it is that I don't really trust that the money is being directly used to make things better. I believe
in
we
that
should
government
be.
black box.
Yeah, I believe we should be investing in renewable energy. I think we have the tides. Like, we have the most powerful tides.
Lots of energy there.
We could probably have no power bill. Like, I very rarely will look to Saudi Arabia and think like, let's model ourselves after that, because they don't. But the thing that I will say is that they harvest their natural resources, and their citizens don't pay any taxes because they're so wealthy.
Yeah.
If we had this unlimited energy that we're getting from the, and I understand America has to make money and all that stuff, but I say, like, let's just buy it back and take it over, right?
That's right.
If we had control over our energy, we use the tides, which could probably power this whole province tenfold, and just not charge anyone electricity. Because or maybe a small amount to, like, for maintenance costs and things like that, or whatever it may be. Or it's just taken out of our taxes. Don't charge anyone any actual. To me, that would be obviously lowering, like, I wouldn't have to pay the $350 a month that I pay in electricity. That would be great. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, we're now not using coal that we use now. I believe in all of that. 100% I believe in all of that. I just don't trust that when they're taking carbon tax, and I've read some of the science, and I'm not fully, like, I don't understand it fully, because a lot of people say carbon tax works in a lot of places and it's the best method, but it's not the best method when you don't trust it's being used properly.
So I'm just going to talk about the agri-food sector, which is the sector I know very well. Right. And I've testified in Parliament twice about this, and once at Senate.
Yeah.
And so to claim beyond reasonable doubt that the carbon tax is impacting food prices is flawed. You can't do it. You go to a grocery store, okay?
Right.
Prices are impacted by a lot of different things.
That's 100%. I agree.
If it's sunny out and you go into a grocery store, you'll buy different things than when it's raining or it's snowing.
Yeah.
It affects your behavior.
That's true.
And that will impact prices.
Yeah.
You got loss leading, you got promotions. So every economist out there trying to correlate the carbon tax policy or carbon markets or carbon pricing with retail prices presents a flawed methodology. So that's why our work has always been on competitiveness.
In your expert opinion, though, would you say that it probably has more of an impact on food prices in the wintertime than it does in the summertime, though?
Over time.
Yeah?
Over time. So what we've noticed in our research is that the carbon tax is impacting the sector's competitiveness. So in the U.S., we can actually easily compare with the U.S. because they don't have a federal carbon tax.
Right, exactly, yes.
So when you compare both, in Canada since 2019, when the federal carbon tax was launched, our wholesale food prices, not retail, wholesale prices have gone up 40% more than in the U.S. So if you're Sobeys or Loblaw or Metro and you're looking at prices in Canada that are more expensive, you're going to go to the U.S., you're going to go elsewhere because prices are cheaper.
Right.
It can increase your margins.
Right.
So, and in our research, we actually did notice that one of the factors that made wholesale food prices less competitive is the carbon tax. So I've always believed that the argument, whether it's the conservatives with the axe to tax, or the liberals saying, absolutely not, the carbon tax is not impacting food prices at all.
Right.
The truth is somewhere in between.
Fair.
Okay. And if you affect the competitiveness of the agri-food sector, you will eventually impact food affordability and food security in Canada. And so your point about in the winter, it's exactly that. So if you actually impact the capacity of an industry to produce in the winter, well, obviously they're going to go south or it's going to go west.
Well, that's what I mean. We can't grow it here.
Exactly.
It's not like we can just go to the valley and get strawberries. We now have to go to
And this is the one thing that the Liberals have never understood.
Yeah.
Because we have to heat barns here. We
Right.
have to
Exactly.
actually produce heat
Right.
in the winter to remain as competitive as
Yeah.
our counterparts.
If we're going to have greenhouses and things like that to
That's
grow
right.
like four
So
seasons.
If food sovereignty is a very important issue for you, you shouldn't look at the carbon tax as the perfect solution. I've always believed,
Okay.
and this is my. I'm like you, Matt. I actually think that the climate change is a big issue for the agri-food sector for us
Yeah.
to deal with.
Yep.
And I think that most Canadians want us to do something about it.
I agree, yeah.
Okay. So instead of using the stick approach, the carbon tax, I've always believed that
The
we
carrot
should actually
approach.
use the carrot approach, which to me is cap and trade.
And you know what? Nova Scotia had a great system. And
I know.
unfortunately, we had to we were
And Ontario
kind
did
of
the
forced.
same. But
Yeah.
you know who actually has cap and trade? Quebec,
Oh,
Still
okay.
today.
Still today.
with California. And if you go to the
Quebec they kind of I wonder if it really works for them because of the hydro though, because Quebec really focuses on they have the cheapest electricity rates in the country.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. But at the same time, it doesn't really, it gives organizations and companies options. If
Yeah.
you want to pollute, if you want a Hummer,
Yeah,
fine, pay.
right.
But if you're investing in green technologies, if you want to reduce your carbon footprint as an organization, you get credits.
Right.
And you take those credits and you sell it to the market, and you can make money
Right.
with the environment.
For the people who want to pollute.
Right now,
Yeah.
the Liberals' approach is about penalizing.
Yes.
You pay a tax. You pollute, you pay a tax.
Right.
I'm of the mind that, yes, if you pollute, you should pay.
Yeah.
But if you actually do well and pollute less, you should get credits.
I like that. And you know what? And we had that for a long time,
I
up
know.
until about 3 years ago. And then it was kind of, the feds kind
I
of
think it was
forced
a
us.
mistake, yeah.
The feds forced us to take on,
in 2019.
to take on a new, different approach, which was unfortunate. 'cause,
Now, again, I'm only looking at agri-food. And
Yeah,
I do believe that the cap and trade model is the best one for the agri-food sector because
Yeah.
you're giving farmers, you're giving
Right.
processors, you're giving everyone an option to manage, mitigate risks, and manage their finances based on their environmental stewardship.
Right.
That's it.
And then also to the flip side of this too, because we're talking about I don't want to sound like we're the axe the tax guys, but the more of I guess change. But
Well, the Axe the Tax campaign comes from a place, and this is, as an academic, I'm
Yeah.
appalled by how the Liberals have actually financed and bought academia. Okay?
Yeah.
You don't know that. And most people don't know this, but when you look at the Smart Prosperity Institute, when you look at the Canadian Climate Institute, all the institutes are funded by Environment Climate Change Canada.
Right.
And they have a bunch of academics producing papers to tell Canadians, you know what, don't worry, the carbon tax is the best model.
Right.
But research is not like that. Research, you're supposed to be looking at different options. You're supposed to have debates. There's no debates.
No.
There's no debates. And so when that's what Pierre Poilievre is doing.
yeah.
With this Axe the Tax campaign, he's actually catering to a base, okay?
Oh, and
that
I think
is
it's a large base at this point with
Well-
it specifically axe the tax, right?
to a Canadian population
Yeah.
that has been ill-informed. We've never really had a good, solid debate about what can we do with the environment. How can we actually green our economy the
Right.
best we can without penalizing or compromising our food security?
And-
We really didn't have that debate yet.
Yeah.
So it was shoved into our throats, the carbon tax, and we were told time and time again, this is the cheapest way to actually green our economy.
Right.
I think there are other ways to do that. There are other ways to green our economy without penalizing our farmers and
Right.
distributors.
One thing I know is that I will be kind of anyone listening and be weary about is just because a tax or the axe the tax, if it gets axed, I think people obviously if that happens, the immediate thing that we'll see is the pumps will go down. We'll see 24 cents drop off the pumps, and everyone will probably initially be very happy about that. But
do you think that prices will drop?
Well, okay, I'm leading to that. So this is the thing: is like
this is the
I
thing
don't trust. No, I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
If the conservatives are saying to people prices will drop if they axe the tax, it won't happen.
No,
that's how markets work.
This is the thing. So it's like this is what frustrates me a little bit. I agree with you, and you could have sat here and told me and said, "Yeah, you know what, Matt." If we axe the tax, everyone's going to save 10% off of their groceries. If you told me that as a matter of fact, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to go, oh, that's great. And then what's going to happen is, I think, because I don't trust Loblaws and I don't trust Sobeys and I don't trust anyone major, I think they're all going to go.
They won't drop prices.
They won't drop prices.
They're
going to go, everyone's been used to paying this much for groceries. Well, we're just going to move we're going to make more money, and the oil companies and the taxes and all that stuff won't make it. We'll make it.
So by the time this episode airs, we would see the end of the GST holiday.
That's right. So yeah.
So 14% in Nova Scotia, I can bet you.
Yes.
Okay,
so that's coming. Yeah.
A dollar. That a lot of retailers, a lot of restaurants actually, played around with prices, because taxes are like the tide, right?
Yeah.
When you look at a dock, you'll know what the high tide is, where the tide is, right? There's a mark.
Yes.
It leaves a mark. That's what taxes do. It leaves a mental mark in
we
your
still
brain.
have taxes from World War II.
So right now, I can tell you a lot of restaurants, a lot of retailers are readjusting prices. By the time we get to February 15th, the GST will be slapped back, or the HST for us in Nova Scotia will be slapped back on higher prices. And so that's why it's called opportunistic pricing.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I will say, shout out to breweries, because, man, beer was cheap this holiday season.
It was.
Holy smokes. I couldn't believe it.
Because there's competition.
There's competition, but the beer is heavily taxed. So like Tim Houston, the PC government here, also decided to remove have a tax holiday as well on similar things that the feds did. So I remember, you go in, the prices were the same, and I remember I had to buy a bunch of beer for presents and things like that, but also for me and everything. And I'm sitting there going and I'm looking at the price. I'm like, all these beers are like $5 each or whatever.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm adding up my head and thinking this is how much it's going to be. And then I get up, and I'm not kidding, it was like half. It was 40% less than I thought it was going to be when I was adding the prices in my head.
Wow.
It was something like that. It was crazy.
That's a lot.
It's because beer is mostly taxed. It's sin tax,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that. And I'm telling you, I went here because, we were here at Great Roads. I came by here at Great Roads, and I bought 2 8-packs from Great Roads, and I bought a few others. And I'm telling you, I spent $50 on beer, and I bought beer for 3 people.
Yeah.
And I spent $50 on beer, which that would have been honestly probably close to $100.
Yeah, normally.
And I was like, oh, okay, you know what? Kind of like that. I was like, I could get used to that. So I'll be sad when this holiday's over. And
absolutely. So, but the point I'm trying to make here is that you can't really assume that if you end a tax impacting the entire supply chain, it will actually have an impact on retail prices eventually. The GST holiday, of course, affects retail.
Right.
But you saw there were a few memos, you probably missed it, but PepsiCo and other companies that said, you know what, our systems won't accommodate it. So right now you're dealing with grocers that are still paying a GST to their suppliers.
Right.
Because they said F you to
they're
Ottawa.
so big.
Because they're so big.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, the law was...
It's kind of like the Facebook thing, right? Trudeau was like, hey, you got to pay these independent journalists for writing articles. And Facebook was like, yeah, our GDP is the same as you.
The law was adopted by Senate 2 days before the holidays.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of companies said, you know what, we're still going to charge you. I'm sorry, but we're still going to charge you.
Yeah.
And so right now, Sobeys and Loblaws and Metro are playing nice, and they're just not charging us, but they're still paying up the food chain. Yeah.
No one feels bad for them.
No,
no one feels bad for them,
especially in light of what happened with the meat scale.
Okay,
did you see that?
No. I actually saw this today. You had this thing, so we were, this is the bunch of stuff I had in here.
I'm pissed off.
So before we go on to that, though, The only thing I want to say about this, the tax holiday, the only thing that I think was a bit of a misconception, and I think you actually even spoke about this, is that as much as I liked the tax holiday on beer and things like that, and I went and bought gifts and stuff like that, but on food, again, unless you're buying snacks or things that, you probably could just pass on, the tax holiday didn't help you because like it's you're not taxed on tomatoes and meat and things like that. So like there was no actual relief
we
there.
actually calculated that the average Canadian will save about $4.51 over 2 months
for groceries
at retail.
Yeah.
Now restaurants and beer, that's different.
Totally different. I noticed a significant difference there.
Yeah.
I did notice it there. That was nice.
Yeah.
But when it first kind of got laid out, it's like this isn't. Yes, it will help at Christmas time. It won't help because it started to a degree. It'll help men like me who shop late, but anyone who's better than I am, they've already bought their stuff, right?
But seriously, like a tax rebate on video consoles,
right?
Come on,
yeah, no, exactly.
But when you buy, I don't know, running shoes to run to stay fit, you have to pay a tax,
right? Yeah.
I bought skis for my daughter for Christmas.
Yeah.
I had to pay a tax on it.
I know.
But if I buy a Christmas tree or a video console, I don't pay taxes on that.
Yeah, it was.
Come on.
It was short-sighted.
Yeah.
It was certainly short-sighted.
It was political.
It was political, short-sighted. It is what it is, right? But
if you want people to lose weight and be fit during the holidays.
But I don't think that's what this was about, though.
No, it wasn't.
I think it was specifically designed to hit Christmas, New Year's, and Valentine's Day.
In December, I testified with David Dodge, the former governor of the Bank of Canada, at Senate in Ottawa about the GST holiday. Both of us, we were against it. We knew this was bad fiscal policy. It was just a bad idea.
Right.
And I was of the mind, you know what? If you want to play around with the GST, get rid of it. Don't put taxes on food. I am absolutely against taxing food, even snacks.
No, I agree with you.
It's stupid.
I agree
Let
with you.
consumers decide.
Yep.
And taxing food is immoral.
I agree with you.
Immoral.
I agree with you.
You mentioned snacks, but what about the ready-to-eat section of the grocery store? A lot of seniors, they don't want to cook. They don't have time to cook. They can't cook.
No,
they
I
can't
know.
cut. They can't prepare food at home. So they go to that ready-to-eat section of the grocery store, and they're taxed for Caesar salad.
Right. Exactly.
Doesn't make sense.
No. You know what? I agree with you on that. You go there and you buy a Caesar salad, and you are taxed on it. Or even still, like you walk around like
tuna salad.
You know what? Today I was walking around like I was at work and I went over for lunch and I was like, I'm going to go over and just grab something at the grocery store. And so I walked over to it was a Superstore, Loblaws, and I was walking around and I was looking at some stuff, and it's like some of the things that they have that you have to basically like just throw in an oven.
Yeah.
Is not that badly priced, right? Like,
no, it's not bad.
Like some of them are like $20.
Yeah.
And it's, there's like whatever. It could be like a lasagna or something or
and it's
whole,
healthy.
Whatever. Exactly. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. And and realistically, you could probably feed a family for that for $20, right? Because I was looking at the portion size. If you like a family of 4, if you divide it by 4 equally, you could probably feed that. Those are fine, but they're taxed.
Yeah.
Right?
Right now in Canada, Canadians pay about $1.2 billion in taxes on healthy foods at the grocery store. The other issue, and this is going to piss you off, shrinkflation.
Yes.
So some products, when they get shrinkflated, they become taxable because they become snacks according to the CRA.
No way.
Beautiful CRA, yeah. 4 muffins, not taxable. 2 muffins, the same muffins, that's taxable.
No freaking way.
6 granola bars in a box, not taxable. 5, that's taxable.
Oh my.
This episode is brought to you by Strategy Up. Strategy Up is a business consulting firm led by Mark Zerka, who has over 20 years' experience in building commercial strategies that will up your game, organize your teams, increase your productivity, and grow your business.
Whether you're a construction company looking to grow your revenue or a busy restaurant owner just trying to keep the doors open, Strategy Up can help. Strategy Up's boutique-style consultations will help you improve business process across nearly any industry.
Being a successful entrepreneur does not mean you have to be an expert in everything. Strategy Up specializes in building a relationship with you. Once pain points in the business are realized, Strategy Up will introduce process and technology that will power up your game to the next level.
A successful business requires investment. Your next step towards growth starts now. Email info@mystrategyup.com for a free business discovery call. Up your game with Strategy Up.
And you know what? I've actually noticed that there is 5 granola bars in a box now. It's not 6,
taxable.
which drives me nuts because it's not an even
14%.
number. Yeah.
14%. And people don't look at their receipts.
Wow.
It's disgusting. We shouldn't tax food.
No, I agree. We shouldn't tax food.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on because you kind of alluded to the whole. So this is the 10th anniversary of the bread collusion that was happening amongst and you wrote about that, and I think that might even came out today. I think that you wrote about it, and you talked about now there's like a meat collusion or like a misrepresentation or something like that. And we talked about misrepresentation.
If you want to boycott Loblaw or any grocers, that's a reason. That's a good reason.
So okay, explain to the people listening, because I couldn't believe this when I read the article from you today. I was just kind of because you encourage people to go out and buy a scale. In your article, you said go buy $15, buy a scale.
Amazon, yeah. We have one at home, and absolutely, this is disgusting. And so Loblaw got in touch with me earlier this week and explained, they made a mistake with scales. Because the packaging changed, and they didn't actually program scales based on the new packaging. So basically, people were buying meat, but they were paying for the weight in relation to the packaging as well for a while. We don't know exactly for how long, but it lasted a while. And not in just one store, over 80 stores. And that's at Loblaws, at Walmart, at Sobeys.
And you also talked about fat content too in your article.
Yes, because that's because I'm trying to stir the pot a little bit. That's my job. Yeah. So because these things piss me off when I know that consumers are being robbed.
Talk about shrinkflation.
That's right. Shrinkflation is one.
But shrinkflation in meat, because if they pack a lot of fat in it, the fat just goes away and everyone strains it. So it just goes away, right? So you're getting smaller.
So sometimes you'll actually buy extra lean and you pay extra for it, but it's not extra lean.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So the fat content should be no more than 11% according to the law. But sometimes it's more than that. But who's going to check? Are you going to go home and measure how much fat there is?
I don't even think you can measure that.
And you don't have, a lot of people don't have scale. But that's why I said, buy a scale, test, and if it's beyond 1.5% more or less, report it to Measurement Canada or the CFIA.
So you can actually report
there is a thing called Measurement Canada under Industries Canada. It's the Minister Champagne's ministry. So if you actually...
So that's the guy who we just found out today that he's actually withdrawing from the Liberal leadership race that he was going to do.
For now. For this one.
For this one, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't want to be the sacrificial lamb.
I don't understand. Mark Carney is a smart man, but I mean, listen, he's going to get clobbered.
Well, there's Carney. There's the guy from Ontario, which I think that's a...
Chandra, who I met.
You know what? Huge mistake. He made a comment. This is January, so this is
about
probably
about
the French.
Yeah.
Talk about short-sighted. Talk about oh my. Christy Clark. I saw today. She pulled herself. And you know what? I loved her comment. She said, "My French is not at a level where I would feel comfortable being able to communicate to the Francophone Canadians in order to run and represent them." Talk about stand up. She understands Canada. This guy who's I don't think they'll care.
Actually, just a bit of a story with him. Chandra, I can't remember his last name. Arden, I think his name is. Yeah. So I was testifying in Ottawa with a colleague from down, Samantha Taylor. So he's on the finance committee. I was testifying with her. He came after my colleague, Samantha Taylor, very aggressively. To a point that I had to intervene.
Okay.
I had a feeling that not only he didn't like French But I think he had an issue with women. But I'm just
okay.
throwing it out there. But
Yeah.
you can feel he was really inappropriately aggressive with her.
Yeah.
Like I remember it was in the morning. We were testifying for 2 hours about credit cards. The use of credit cards buying food.
Okay.
A lot of people buy food on credit.
Yeah.
She's an accountant, and he was disputing some of the stuff that she was saying, but she was more like presenting ideas to the committee so
Right.
so MPs can think about it. And he was inappropriately attacking her. And I hope he doesn't win. Like, I hope he doesn't win. I don't
think he has a shot. I mean, like, realistically, you're going to have some, like, Mark Carney's a bit of a juggernaut in terms of name and all that.
Jamie Batiste from Nova Scotia is actually
Jamie Batiste is running, so if he wins, he would actually be the first
He doesn't
Indigenous.
have the money yet. But,
No, he doesn't.
yeah.
That's a tall order. But he would, if he won, he'd be the
I'm
first.
surprised
he'd be
by
the first
how
leader.
little media attention he got when he actually announced.
Yeah,
like
I know.
Nationally, there was just zero attention.
It was only Nova Scotia that talked about it, but maybe because he's
And
a
he's
Nova Scotia
Indigenous,
MP.
and he could.
And he would be the first. He would be the first
He's
Indigenous.
one win away to become our first prime minister Indigenous. And
not just first prime minister. He could be the first party leader that's Indigenous.
that's right, federally.
Yeah, federal party leader. Yeah,
Federal,
exactly.
yeah.
So like, there's a lot of that. I mean, Freeland's going to run. We know that's pretty.
I met her.
confident. Yeah,
I met her in Ottawa.
So we know that's pretty confident. So it's interesting.
Her track record as Minister of Finance.
I know. And you know what? This is, we're supposed to be talking about food, but I love politics, so I get very caught up in it.
Well, there's a lot of politics in food because
Yeah.
that's why I'm often in Ottawa. I mean,
And I actually have questions political about that, actually, in terms of food, because my thing is the biggest thing, if I'm putting my strategic hat on, I'm nonpartisan, right? I'm just honestly putting my hat on as a strategic political person. And I think, Carney and Freeland, so close to Trudeau. And I'm not someone who hated Trudeau. I honestly, I didn't like certain things, but I didn't dislike the guy either, right? I actually found it admirable that he was stepping aside, knowing that his popularity was low. And to me,
it was too late, though.
it might have been too late.
We're in a position where
I agree with you. It was too late. But at least he surprised me that he did it at all. But at least what he was doing when he stepped aside is he's giving Canadians another option that many weren't going to consider because he was there. So at the very least, there's people like me who probably
So you don't feel we should have actually had an election?
No, you know what? I don't actually.
With Trump and everything?
I know that's a big thing, but you know what?
Because right now,
I know
Daniel,
there's
Daniel
tariffs
Smith
and
was in
stuff.
Florida.
Yeah.
Doug Ford will be will be in Washington soon. You can feel that premiers right now are panicking because we have a leaderless Ottawa.
And that's the thing. I mean, I understand and totally agree with all that.
Who's the Prime Minister of Canada right now? I would say it's Daniel Smith, the Premier of Alberta. She's the one.
Really?
She's the one because she's got a lot to lose. We got Melanie Jolie.
There's many people that say Dominic LeBlanc is one of the most powerful men in Canada, though.
But he's actually dealing with the liberal mayhem. But right now, because the biggest issue we have to face right now is the United States of America.
Yeah,
what is Dominic LeBlanc doing right now?
No, they're in the middle of a leadership debate. No,
So
listen, you raised great points.
So he went to Florida
Yeah.
with the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And we came back with this 51st state
rhetoric
that really pisses a lot of people off.
Yes.
That's what happened.
He's
Daniel Smith went to Florida and we got a conversation going, a real conversation, because it's about energy.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's why I give a lot of credit to Daniel Smith for stepping up, and Doug Ford also in Ontario.
Yeah.
And my guess, if Tim Houston were the premier of a larger province, I suspect he would be doing the same.
I listen, and I don't hide anything. I'm a big Tim Houston fan. I think he would make a great prime minister. I would hate to lose him as the premier of Nova Scotia because I think he is Nova Scotians first and he puts Nova Scotia first. So I'm a big fan of his. That's a whole other topic. But I mean, he'd be a great person. But I agree with you. If he was a part
we
of
need another Robert Stanfield.
he could be the Robert Stanfield. He honestly could be the Robert Stanfield. I think
He's got charisma.
He does.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's just level-headed
I don't know.
and does
Does
the
he
right
speak
thing.
French?
I don't know. he might not. So, I mean, that might be the hard thing for him, right?
I don't know if he does. I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
It wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his cabinet is actually bilingual.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So the whole thing with politics is like, anyway, I was saying to you as well, it's like Carney and Freeland might be too close to Trudeau. And we know that, Poilievre is probably going to say same person, different face.
Yeah.
He's already started to say it, right? But what, in your opinion, what can politics really do in a free market of food? What do you think that they can do? Is there anything they can do to actually bring prices down?
I've always argued that the role of government is to enable conditions to increase competition.
Yes.
Okay. So make Canada attractive.
Right. Okay.
And I would say that right now, over the last 9 years, I'm afraid to say it, it's been the opposite.
Okay.
We have a new tenant in the White House, and that new tenant is making the American economy more competitive, less bureaucratic, okay?
Yep.
Energy costs are going down. All the stuff we're not seeing in Canada right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to make the agri-food sector more competitive in Canada, reduce energy costs as much as possible, okay? Make sure bureaucracy gets eliminated. Eliminate inter-provincial barriers.
Okay.
And we just saw Alberta accepting wine from BC, thank goodness. Joining Nova Scotia and Saskatchewan. Finally. We're still waiting for Ontario and Quebec. But anyways, so there are so many barriers making Canada a hard place to do business in. So
alcohol particularly too.
Alcohol particularly.
Yes. And you know what? Even back to that holiday, beer got the pass. But our last we had an episode in January when we talked to JD Shore and their distillers, and they weren't too happy that they got kind of snubbed during what they feel is their season.
Yeah.
And winemakers, we have such great winemakers, and they can get included in this kind of thing, right?
Yeah, the winemaking industry, the wine industry in Nova Scotia should prosper even more.
Yeah.
If you eliminate these barriers. So those are some of the things. And like I said, taxing food is just a bad idea.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of things that governments can do to actually make food more affordable, more competitive, giving more choice. Because right now, the irony is that we're not seeing any new competitors coming into the market in Canada, while Canadian grocers are going to the U.S.
Okay.
So Loblaw just opened up 2 stores in the U.S. this year. And we're not seeing any new players in Canada. That's a sign.
Okay.
That's a sign, meaning in Canada, we're not open for business. We're penalizing business.
And I guess I kind of go back to it, like, if politicians make these changes and everything, like, can we actually trust grocers to make changes in the food, like for prices to go down? Or are they just going to be like, they're used to it, right?
I don't think, trusting grocers is an oxymoron.
I think you can trust the local ones, though.
It's not, so they'll focus on their consumer trust thing as a business.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's up to the government to decide whether or not it wants to make Canada a good place to invest.
I agree with you there.
And so, and like I said, in the last 9 years, I haven't seen any of that. It's all about, if you talk to any groups, farmer groups, if you talk to any trade groups, they'll tell you it's been exhausting because you feel that Ottawa is always after business, attacking business.
And that is a common, unfortunately,
they're playing defense.
Yeah.
They're playing defense. They've been playing defense for 9 years. They're exhausted.
Yeah.
All they want is some support, some acknowledgement, some understanding.
Right.
But honestly, when you look at cabinet right now in Ottawa, most people have never actually run a business. They don't understand business at all. And they don't want to. The carbon tax.
Yeah.
Okay. Just one example. You believe in the carbon tax? Fine. Measure its performance. Stephen Guilbeault, the Environment Minister of Canada, acknowledged twice that his department is not even measuring the impact of the carbon tax on the environment. Okay? So we're asking people to pay billions of dollars in taxes, but don't we even know if it's actually making a difference with climate change? And I think Canadians actually would want to know that.
Yes. Yeah, you kind of want to know.
So you're paying more at the pump?
Yeah.
And you'll feel, okay, I'm paying more, but I'm doing well for the environment. I'm doing
Right.
something for the environment. Are you?
Fair enough. Yeah. That's the thing too, is like, because we mentioned a couple times, like we mentioned some of the smaller grocery chains, like we mentioned Gateway. I'm a big fan of just because I'm not on the Dartmouth side, I'm on the Halifax side, but I go to Kingswood Market.
Oh yeah.
Like Kingswood Market, I don't think these are chicken prices from 15 years ago. Like anyone in chicken wing season here, I bought 1.4 kilos of chicken wings for $7. That's insane.
Yeah.
Chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast. I bought, it was like 1.5 kilos for $14.
That's amazing.
So but how is it that like, no, I told you today, I went to Superstore.
Yeah.
I saw it was like just shy of $6 a pound for chicken breast.
Yeah.
For boneless, for the same thing that and I got 1.5 kilos. So, a lot more. And this is almost $6 a pound. It's like $5.90 a pound. It's like, why can these, at one point, buying power used to mean that you could get things for cheaper and therefore sell things for cheaper. Why is it that these local folks can sell chicken and beef and all that stuff for way cheaper?
Oh, well, so the gateways of the world, they actually manage their supply chain very differently. They'll actually narrow down a couple of suppliers.
Right.
And they'll just basically nurture those relationships, and they'll get phone calls and they say, listen, I need to dump kilos of this, kilos of that. And that's how they buy. That's how they offer. But
they're operating 365 days a year.
Yeah.
So
right.
like they
But they have few. They have 1,500 SKUs. They don't have like 20,000.
No, that's true.
So
Fair enough.
it's easier. And I mean, let's face it. When you walk into those stores, there's no lighting, smells, the
Fair
aesthetics.
enough. I don't want that though.
You
I mean,
don't
to a
want that.
degree. You know what? To a degree, I say that. You know what? When I go to Quebec, every time I always have to go to an IGA because man, I love IGAs.
It's a labyrinth of
best.
smells and colors, and it's different. But you pay for that.
That's true.
You pay for that. When I go to Great Way, I walk in with my cart and I
You
line
fight with
up.
everybody.
You fight with everybody, and it's great.
Yeah.
That's the experience there. And
Right.
but people are all there for a reason, to save money.
Yeah, and the farm markets, like the farmers markets, seem to be really kind of helping out. Like I'm fortunate enough; I live out in I live out in Prospect, and there's a place called Mabel's Farm Market out there. And I walk into No Frills, which is supposed to be the discount, right?
Yep.
And I walk in there. I walked in there a couple weekends ago, and I saw cauliflower, $4.88 for a head of cauliflower. Every single time I walk into Mabel's, $2.99. Not on sale, not a flyer special like it was for $4.88. Every time I walk into that place,
Incredible.
$2.99 for a head of cauliflower. I've gone there and I've bought a week's worth of groceries for $26.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like we had salads 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 days a week.
Ate healthy.
And you're eating healthy.
Yeah.
And like you spend $25. So, I go buy a turkey, we'll say, for $30 or less, I guess, $20 to $22. And then I go buy $30. It's like, are you telling me I spent less than $60 and I'm eating for a week? Yes. The answer is yes. I've done it. I have done it.
It's possible. Yeah.
It's possible. Now that's a privilege though. I get to drive around. I get to go to I'm a smart shopper and I go to I'm lucky that I have a farm market that's 5 minutes from my house. And I'm lucky that I have a car that I can drive by and go to Kingswood Market on my way to work because it happens to be, it's a privilege. Like the people who have the least amount of money, maybe not have a car, aren't commuting by places like this. They have to go to the closest grocery store to them.
Yeah.
And sometimes that closest grocery store is Sobeys. And most of the times that's more expensive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's kind of the unfortunate part when it comes to that. But, when I see things like chicken being 2 to 3 times more, it's crazy.
You were asking me what governments can do to actually property controls. We need to end them. There's plenty of them out there. And most people actually don't see that. But when there's a Sobeys nearby, often there'll be some arrangements not to have another food retailer close by.
So they don't want competition.
They don't want competition, and that's, to me, that is wrong.
Okay,
that is wrong. And there are a couple of cases in Halifax, to be honest, in the HRM, and in smaller towns like in Bridgetown and even Truro. I can tell you, some grocers have actually bought land and they're not building anything because they don't want the next guy, the other guy, to build. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense too.
That needs to end.
So that's the thing is, like, there's this guise of like free market, but like there's a lot of stuff that's happening behind the scenes.
It's not the federal government; it's provincial and municipal.
Everything on the way down. Yes,
so
everyone.
If you have Tim back on your show, ask him.
He'll come back. He told me actually just, you know what? Like I said, I'm a fan of Tim, but actually, this is what this is an example of what makes Tim a good premier, in my opinion. I mean, you can't do this to everybody, but Tim called me on my cell phone on the 23rd of December to wish me and my family a Merry Christmas.
Wow.
And I was like I didn't answer it because I didn't really, like, I was busy and was working and all that stuff. And I didn't listen to the message until I get home, and I pick it up and all of a sudden I hear Tim's voice, and I said to my wife, I said, hold on a second. I said, this is the premier of the province. I said, I rewound it and said, listen to this. And he just, wished us happy birthday. And it's
Merry not Christmas, like a recorded call. It was
it was him saying, Matt, I want to
live.
thank you. He goes, I'd love to come back on the podcast in 2025. Wishing you and your your family Merry Christmas, and thanks for all you do in the community.
That's great.
Lights out, like the dude. I've heard other stories. Like the guy goes out and campaigns or whatever, like knocks on doors alone, right? That's what makes him great, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, people can, with me saying that, people can paint me with a certain brush, but the fact is that I just like the guy, right? He could leave.
Tim Altman is he's in his cabinet.
Yeah.
He lives close by to where I live.
Yeah.
He was at my house twice during the campaign. I said, Tim, you're wasting your time here.
Exactly.
I mean, but he wanted to bring some volunteers so they can meet me.
Right.
And it was so cute. It was so cute. It was great. There's a lot of people like that surrounding Tim, and I think it kind of makes him feel that way, and he's very community oriented, and
so much so. I mean, I've heard a lot of things. You know what? If people want to say, oh, that makes Matt a team blue, it doesn't. The fact is that Tim could leave tomorrow, and I wouldn't paint myself in blue brush, right?
No.
It's the guy, and what I've seen, and what I've seen the improvements on, and all that. Well,
most Nova Scotians, what I've learned in the last 10 years, most Nova Scotians will want to vote for someone they actually like.
Yeah.
Beyond the callers.
I agree.
Beyond the callers.
I agree.
And so Stephen McNeil, who you will be interviewing, became premier of this province probably because he was liked.
Yeah. At one point.
More so.
At one point.
Yeah,
exactly.
And let's be honest, Tim, at some point
Of course, it happens. It's inevitable.
His tenure will end.
Yeah.
But I do think that he won his election because people liked him.
Exactly. Yeah. So before we go on, what we've been doing lately is 10 questions. So we're going to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
But before we do that, you've been doing a lot of traveling since we last spoke. And I saw that you recently shared, because we're Facebook friends, so you've shared that you were in Innsbruck, that you shared that it was 10 years since you've come back.
Yeah,
from that
that's
time.
right.
So,
yeah.
And but you've been doing a lot of traveling. Like, you've been in Texas, as we talked about, and all this other stuff, like lots of traveling.
Yep.
I know you said that you had you insinuated that on your Innsbruck post that there's something's going to be happening.
That's right.
You have an announcement that everyone is, and many people were like, come on, man, don't sit, have us sitting here waiting. But we talked about it, and you said you're okay to talking about it a little bit, that you're going to be taking a little bit of a leave.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, we take leaves as professors.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question, Matt. If you were to be asked by an Ivy League school in the U.S. to manage the number one agribusiness program in the country and number 3 in the world, would you say yes?
Yeah. I mean, well, hold on. Let's say this. No, because I don't know anything about that. But I would probably fail miserably. That being said, if someone came to me and offered me something that, could be very interesting, that's something that I knew about or whatever, Yeah, it's hard to turn down. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Texas A&M, and frankly, my family and I were not willing to move. We were very happy in Halifax, but I'll be commuting. I'll be helping out with their master's degrees in agribusiness, which is the #1 program in the country, #3 in the world.
Great football school.
my
I'm
gosh.
really jealous. If you want to maybe bring me down for a football game, I'd be open to that.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a podcast recording.
we should.
We could do a podcast recording.
Yeah, maybe I should invite you down and talk to the Aggies.
Hey, that would be
And by
fantastic.
the way, just a little anecdote. So when I was teaching down there, in November, I was teaching a seminar, and one of the professors said, "You know what? If you want the attention of students, just say howdy,
Okay.
howdy,
Just howdy.
howdy."
All right.
And so because students were actually working in groups,
Yeah.
and I wanted to get their attention,
Right.
so I said howdy, and everyone said howdy.
All right then.
It's the code.
Well, and you were just there, whatever it was, a couple months ago, or at this point it'd be a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And because I remember I wrote to you and said you got to go to a football game, and you were like, I just missed it.
Yeah.
Because the stadium is huge.
That's true.
Texas is football. I mean, it'd be.
Well, you
next
go into
level.
every restaurant, they have the schedule of the Aggies.
Wow.
It's because you do not want, as an adult, you do not want to be close to the stadium on game day. Okay? Because people
I
actually,
might. I'd want to
you know
go.
what tailgating is?
Yes.
People tailgate 2 days before.
I love this. Again,
And beer.
ribs, chicken
Can you
wings,
imagine?
beer, all the things. I
2
like.
days, and they have
Oh.
porta potties everywhere. It's just unbelievable. And the place is clean. It's
Really? Okay.
the campus there is just immaculate.
Wow.
Immaculate. The one campus that reminds me, in Nova Scotia, I must say Saint FX is probably, in my view, in
St.
my
X.
opinion,
Yeah.
the best looking campus we have in this
No, I agree with you.
province.
My wife and I, my wife also from Quebec,
Yeah.
we went there.
So Texas A&M looks like that.
Does it?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So, because my wife and I, we went there early on. My wife's been living here for whatever. Well, she's been coming here for 15 years, and living here for 11 or 12. And when first time I took her to St. FX, we were on our way to first trip to Cape Breton and everything, and we drove around St. FX and showed her around, and she was like, "You know what?" She's like, I've done tours of Harvard, and she was like, "This place stands up."
Yeah.
Right? St. FX is a beautiful, beautiful school.
Oh.
So if you're telling me it looks like it, that's an
No,
incredible looking
it's
school.
just a beautiful place,
Yeah.
and I was impressed. I was
Yeah.
impressed. Tuition for their corporate MBA is $250,000 US for 2
my.
years.
No way, $100,000 a year, or
More than
125. 125.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just a different level. Yeah.
University is a different level there. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I know people Texas guns. That's not what I saw. I really
no.
people are.
That's not everything that they are.
They're incredibly polite, super nice.
Yeah.
It's just I felt at home. Really.
Yeah. All that Texas barbecue and all that stuff.
We did eat a lot of meat.
The food professor might
I think
be,
they made sure I
yeah.
wasn't a vegetarian.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Food professor is probably going to be gaining a few pounds living in Texas. Yeah.
A little. Hey, a little scoop for you. My Poutine Nation book is going to be published in English, coming out this fall, October 2025.
Okay, so this actually is perfect because that's great because the first question. So we have 10 questions. We've been having fun doing 10 questions. We tried this with the premiere, and we've just been having fun with it ever since. So we got 10 questions. I tried to stick food related for you.
Okay.
So have some fun. So first question is donair or poutine?
Yes.
Just yes?
Yeah, yes.
No, which one? Which one do you prefer?
Oh, which one?
You got to pick one.
Like a place?
No. Donair or poutine? Which
donair or poutine.
Poutine. Yeah.
I thought you were saying donair poutine.
No, donair or poutine. You got to pick one.
Oh, it's poutine. Sorry.
Sorry,
folks.
Some of these, you know what? The first 3 questions are going to be prying at your Quebec and East Coast,
right? I'm going to be torn.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay, so donair. So you're picking poutine for question.
Yeah.
So question 2: ragout boulette or the pâté chinois or shepherd's pie?
Ragout de boulette.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, man.
Pâté chinoise. Oh my God. No.
I mean, I like it. I like shepherd's pie. Don't get me wrong.
It's not bad on a
Ragout
Monday
boulette?
night.
Oh, ragout boulette.
Ragout boulette's for Christmas and special events.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, question number 3: tortilla or rappy pie?
Tortilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. Du Lac Saint-Jean.
Oh, yeah, I know. If you go up to Lac Saint-Jean,
It's different. It's square. There's more vegetables in there, sweets.
Oh,
it's different.
okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And there's actually, did you know that there's tortilla poutine now?
Yeah, no, yes, I do know. Yes,
You eat tortilla and there's
and
actually
it's stuffed in there. Yes.
Yeah.
So okay, so the tortilla. I heard this rumor. I don't know if it's true. I didn't fact check it or anything, but it's a Quebec rumor that tortilla, when it was first invented up in the Saguenay region, is where it came from. And I heard it was originally came from a mixture of beef and a particular bird, and that the Quebecois ate that bird into extinction. And I don't know if that is true or not, but it's a funny little myth.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
have
either.
No idea. But it's a good story.
It's a great story. Yeah. Okay, so you know what? And the funny thing is like, I agree pretty much on donair and poutine. That's the hard one for me.
Yeah.
Because I love donair. I'm from here and everything.
It's the sauce that doesn't work for me. It's sticky.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, fair enough. But
My first donair I ate in front of a class.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I was teaching one night at Down.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I never ate donair. And people were looking at me, you never ate a donair? No. So you have to eat a donair.
Yeah, of course.
And one student, you have to eat a donair in front of us.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah, so they forced you.
So I ordered a donair for everyone.
No way.
The next class, yeah, I ordered a donair for everyone. And I ate that donair in front of people, but when I was done, I had to wash my hands. It was just so sticky.
Yeah, it's part of it. It's fun.
Not when you're sober.
It is that's true. Yeah. But you know. All right. Question number 4. So, what is one restaurant that you have eaten at the most, excluding fast food? So, what's a restaurant that's like your go-to?
In HRM?
Anywhere. I mean, I assume it's probably in HRM in the last few years, but
actually, I would say the Bicycle Thief is a favorite, Café Lunette is our second favorite.
Also a great spot. Yeah, great spot. Yeah, those are 2 really great ones.
We're blessed with some really good restaurants in HRM.
Oh, yeah,
much better. When we moved 10 years ago, it was great.
Yep,
but it's really gotten better.
It has. Yeah. I mean, we also have Bar Kismet.
Yeah.
Which is ranked 14th best in Canada. If we had a Michelin star in Canada, that would probably win it. Yeah.
Wow.
My personal favorite actually is the Press Gang. I love the Press Gang.
Oh my God, you need a mortgage to eat there. Oh my God.
I mean, I know what
and to reserve there, you have to book a month
have to book
in
a long
advance.
time.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I mean, I haven't eaten there in a long time because you have a 3-year-old and it's hard to do that and it's hard to enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
But I do really love it.
We go there, but I would say it's probably, once every 2 years.
It's probably been a couple of years since I've been there, but the last time I had it was Burger Week, and I had the kangaroo burger. And
right.
Oh boy!
I'm a big fan of the boardwalk. I don't know.
That's true too.
They've done such a great job.
They have.
So when you have a nice dinner with your wife and friends,
yep.
you want to have that nice little walk.
Yeah, I agree.
Right next to the water.
Yeah.
So that's why both like Café Lunette and Bicycle, those restaurants work for us.
That makes sense. Yeah. I like it. Favorite dish all time. What's your favorite dish
after poutine?
If that's it, no, it doesn't. It can be poutine. Yeah, that's fine.
I love oysters.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
that's
not
surprising.
a dish.
No, it's not.
Not
but that's fine. I love oysters too.
I would eat oysters all day.
So would I. And you know what? Particularly with paired with Caesars.
Yes.
I love an oyster, like a bunch of oysters with Caesars.
Yeah. No. So and
you should come out with us.
And the other thing, I mean, when I came to Nova Scotia, I realized how fish and chips should taste like.
Oh yes,
fish and chips here. I can't eat fish and chips elsewhere than Nova Scotia now.
You know what? It's so again. I spoke about my father-in-law in the past, earlier in this episode, and one of his favorite dishes was fish and chips. And he used to go. He loved the Magdalen Islands, and he used to go to and get fish and chips there. And I remember we went there and got fish and chips there. And I was like, I almost fell out of my chair because this was in 2013, before a bunch of prices increased. And for fish and chips, it was $18 for fish and chips there. And I remember like falling off my chair because I was like, we can get fish and chips for like $8 in Halifax. I mean, now it's kind of gone up and caught up and everything. I hate to see what the prices are there now.
Yeah.
But fish and chips,
it's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Not all places are good, but
No.
it's very tough to find bad fish and chips here.
Yeah. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so question number 6. So give me one restaurant recommendation that you've ever been to that is an absolute, like, you gotta have before you die type of thing.
Like one restaurant?
Yeah, what's a restaurant where you were like, you know what? If you could eat in one restaurant, it's your last meal, like you have to eat there. What would it be?
God, I don't know. Like I think I told you the last show that I don't look at the menu when I order.
No, that's right. Yeah, you did tell me that.
So I'm flexible. Like I did it on Friday with some friends at the whole Henry House.
Oh, the Henry House is awesome.
I love that place. I mean,
Great.
Is it a guilty pleasure, or I mean, I actually love that place.
First of all, hand pumped beer.
Yeah.
So authentic UK style beer.
I know.
And they have the ultimate burger, which is a burger patty with smoked meat with like pineapple and jalapenos.
Yeah.
Like it's
very good.
amazing.
So my son actually lives close, like on Tobin Street, right there.
Oh, right there.
So
yes.
we meet each other at that place. I just love that place. Like, listen, for a last meal, I'd settle for the old Henry House. To be honest.
Wow, that's huge. That's a huge shout out.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's to me, it's just so authentic. You feel good when you're there.
Yeah.
Nobody's pretentious.
Yeah.
The service is great.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot
No,
of
they
fun.
have the fireplace.
There you
It's
go.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
no,
I can
love
leave that place and die.
You know what? Honestly, I thought you were going to pick something way different, like some Michelin star level restaurant, and that's an awesome.
Well, so
awesome
my podcast producer is a Michelin kind of guy.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we go to whenever we meet in Montreal or Toronto, we got to
Yeah.
go to these expensive places. I don't care.
Fair enough.
I don't care. As long as the service is good,
Yep.
then I'm all good. So
That's the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of kind of fine dining in the city, the Five Fishermen was a restaurant that was a morgue back when the Titanic sunk. So they and they actually brought a bunch of the bodies from the Titanic that they actually were able to recover, and they were actually laid there. It was the morgue there.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So it's a haunted restaurant. So my question to the
Tell that to my daughters.
my question to the food professor is: do you believe in ghosts?
No. And I've been to that restaurant a few times.
Yeah, it's a great one.
I'm not sure anymore if I'm going to go back. Spooky.
Exactly.
Who's in the kitchen?
It's actually, you know what? You'll be safe. It's actually the women's washroom. Apparently, you hear a little girl crying in the women's washroom, so you might be safe. You may never have to deal with it.
You've listened to Harry Potter, that movie where that girl.
But it's not. This
You know what?
This predates that.
When you go to Universal
Yeah.
and you go to their washroom, you can actually.
Do they play like laughter or whatever in there?
Yeah.
No way.
I was actually on my own, and I go, "Who the hell is talking, man?"
All right.
I didn't know that. Well, that's the thing
I got a
I've
bizarre
learned on the
question for you.
afternoon pint.
Yeah, I got a bizarre question for you. So, question number 8 is: chicken, pork, beef, and fish are kind of viewed as like the big four in the protein world, right? There's also a big four in sports, and that's hockey, baseball, basketball, football.
Yep.
What protein would play which sport, in your opinion?
Oh, okay. Fish would be baseball.
Okay.
Yep. Beef would be football.
Okay.
Chicken, basketball, and pork, hockey.
All right.
Does that fit?
You know what? I would agree with that. If you were to substitute like pork for football and beef with hockey, I think that would have been fine. But
Yeah.
I think that lines up pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll
I don't know what the logic of the question is.
I don't know
but-
either. It's just a question I thought of because I thought it was funny. And you know what? People can debate about it in the comment section.
Yeah, exactly.
So question number 9. If you could travel to one country based on food experience only, what country would it be?
Japan.
Ooh, okay.
I've never been to Japan.
I've never been, and that's up there for me too.
Yeah, my daughters actually want to go to Japan, but the problem is that it takes so darn long to get there.
That's true.
So for spring break or Christmas, we just don't have the time. So we settle for the South or whatever. We're going to New York for Easter, you know.
Yeah.
But for culinary experiences, Japan. Yeah.
That's a pretty solid one.
Yeah.
So last question. This is where we can end it on. It's the question of 2025 that we're asking everybody, and that is, what is one piece of advice that you were given that you'd like to give me or the people listening that you'd like to pass on?
Live in the present.
Live in the present.
Appreciate the present as much as possible. Like I'm appreciating this moment, right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are always worried, concerned about what people think, what's going to happen tomorrow, and there's a lot of that. There's too much of that.
I love that.
Just focus, appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
And enjoy the moment.
That's perfect.
There you go.
Yeah. So let's end it on that, and cheers.
Cheers.
Sylvain Charlebois.
Our glasses are
Thank
empty.
you. Yeah, they're empty now, but thank you for the 3-peat. We appreciate it. And we'll have to figure out how we get you on for the 4-peat in Texas.
That's right. And say hello to Mike for me.
I will, certainly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to The Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.